Welcome to No Apology with Emily and Chris. So glad that you are spending some time with us once again today. And as always, we've got some really great stuff we're going to share with you throughout the show. We're going to be talking about deconstructionism again. Yeah, because it's such a huge movement, not just in the church, but in culture at large. And Chris has talked several times. In fact, we've both talked many times about how it really is ideology from the pit of hell. And now we have proof. We can show it to you. We're not just, saying that for hyperbole. Also, we're going to have Right On Way Off, as we always do. Looking forward to
Mike
that.
Mike Shaw will be with us.
But Chris, you want to start out the show talking about negative TV. What do you mean by negative TV? Well, I have an idea what you mean by negative TV, but what you got over there?
This is not negative TV. It's why do people choose negative TV?
Oh, it's another layer.
Yeah,
okay.
I stumbled across this study being reported on by Karen Nikos Rose of UC Davis. And she talks about how people watch negative TV to combat life's stresses.
What?
The study actually suggests that the more stressed and negative you are will make you choose negative TV to continue to wallow in your mud.
I am so in trouble with my forensic files and my British murder mysteries.
Well,
what does that say about
check this out now. Researchers have long known that people use media to manage their emotions. We know that.
Yes.
In fact, as a Christian, you should be sharing Fresh Road Media with everybody because your inputs affect your outputs. And I got to be honest with you, we're serving up some pretty good broadcasting here.
We want to impact you. There's no question about that.
So why would you sit down with your remote control and watch a Disney animated or Pixar flick versus a biopic about the Holocaust?
Oh.
Yeah. So Richard Husky, an assistant professor of communication and corresponding author of the study, did a 3-year from 2020 to 2023, which included both pandemic closures and non-pandemic months. Researchers observed that most of the hundreds of people in their study had persistent preference for negative media. Now, when I read this, I'm like, wow, okay, what's behind this? What's going on?
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of it. What questions do you have, Emily? Because you know nothing about this.
I don't know. I feel like I know so little I can't even formulate a question right now. This is interesting, though.
Yeah.
So, in other words, what they're saying is kind of the more deeper, darker situations you might be in yourself, you'll look to those same types of things at a deeper level as a form of entertainment because it helps you manage your emotions.
You're thinking along the right lines now. Listen, the study composed of 3 separate computational decision-making experiences.
Ooh,
all right?
That sounds scientific.
Experiments. I'm sure it was experiences, but it was experience.
Okay.
Since I'm not getting paid, let me rephrase that.
This time with feeling.
I'm trying so hard to care, but
here we go.
Composed of 3 separate computational decision-making experiments. And it was published in the Journal of Communication June 12th. Okay, so this is somewhat new. I got a fly that's just pestering me here.
Yeah.
And I would never say that, but we're on camera now. You audio listeners, have I mentioned how much I love you?
Yeah, you don't want to look like a freak just flailing around.
All right, let me just continue on with my thing here. The way researchers used to think about how people use media to manage their emotion goes like this.
Okay.
This is Husky. He's explaining this.
Yeah.
Who is also the principal investigator of the Cognitive Communication Science Lab. Ooh, I bet he knows what he's doing.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and he's an affiliate researcher with the UC Davis Center for Mind and Brain.
Okay, very good.
Okay, here's what he says. The reason someone decided to watch a sitcom rather than a crime drama last night might be because they had a bad day at work and wanted something to help improve their mood.
Okay.
This explanation, however, has received mixed support since the 1980s when it was first started to be researched. If the explanation I described is true, why would anyone want to watch movies like Schindler's List?
Right.
So researchers from UC Davis and Michigan State collaborated to get to the bottom of it. And this 3-year study is the result, which just was published. And to me, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
They observed studies with college students and national represented population by age. So from college students on up, They looked at age, gender, race, more than 500 people in all. Now, you know my rule
That's
on
pretty good.
That's acceptable.
You're at the low end, but it's acceptable. Yeah,
The number I always look for is 1,000. And when they
Okay, Dr.
a
Danielson.
sampling of 1,000 is more legitimate to me than a sampling of 500.
Always,
but,
the bigger the better. Yeah.
And so here's what they found.
Okay.
Not only did research study people's media professions, but they also decided what to watch. Again, I'm not being paid, so let me start again. Not only did the researchers study people's media preferences, but also how they decided what to watch. That is what makes computation models so powerful, Jason Gong, a doctoral candidate and lead author on the study, said. Can you tell I'm reading an article?
Yeah, it's riveting, dear.
They provide new insights into the psychological processes that govern our decisions. What is being said here? What's being said here is that they're trying to figure out why we psychologically want to just veg out to a sitcom tonight to improve our mood, or no, we don't want that. We want to stay in our negativity. So show me the Holocaust. You get what I'm saying? I mean, that's what they're trying to find out. Now, they did have one little thing that they found that I wanted to share with you.
Okay, is it like a caveat?
It's a caveat.
Okay.
The result of everybody preferring negative over positive, because that's what they did. At the end of the day, more people, like in a huge amount, I'll get to the statistics here if I got them in a second.
Yeah.
They make the decision to go negative in their TV watching, to stay in their negativity, like 65%.
Okay.
Except for adults over 50 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. What are they doing?
The adults over 50 years old tend to seek more escapist media entertainment options, and they
okay.
seek for less negativity.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the way I think now, which I know is much different than I thought when I was in my 20s, if my TV choices and our entertainment choices are the same thing. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
There's 3 movies out that I want to see in the theater right now. Okay? And Sound of Freedom is one that I want to see in the theaters, but it's probably leaving.
Yeah.
And we've seen so much of it that but you got to be in the mood for that movie.
True, yeah.
That is not a
like Passion of the Christ.
Yes,
It's really a
Passion of the Christ,
mood
Schindler's
thing.
List, now
Yeah.
Sound of Freedom. I think it's in the same thing. The latest from Christopher Nolan.
Oh, and Nefaria.
No. Atomic Bomb Guy. Oppenheimer.
Oh, Oppenheimer.
And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
of course, my love with Tom Cruise continues. I want to see the latest Mission Impossible. The point of making that decision,
And by the way, he does. He loves Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He
always have.
every once
Ever
in a while
since the
is
movie
like,
Taps.
I just really need to see Tom Cruise run. I don't understand it, but okay, go
I
ahead.
do
honey.
not say that.
You have said that.
I do not say that. I just appreciate his thespian skills. They connect with me. Same with Tom
All right.
Hanks.
All right.
My 2 Toms, Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. I like their movies. Sorry.
All right. Anyway.
So what makes you want to make some of these decisions? I think there's spiritual implications in this study that shows that sometimes we don't want to go to God in prayer. Sometimes we want to stay in our negativity. Or sometimes we go to God and just complain. Or sometimes we just murmur and don't go to God. The point is that as we get older, we want to escape these negative things, and we want to have entertainment options that actually move us from negative to positive.
Right.
The younger you are, the more you're more likely to want to stay there.
Yeah.
And mood swings are a real deal. In fact, I was just preaching about Saul and David back in 1 Samuel 16. Saul went into some major mood swings. So what makes us choose to go positive versus negative? I think the Holy Spirit does a lot. And I think that when you start talking about deconstructionism and a lot of these other things, there's a negative around not having a firm understanding. In other words, finding the spiritual maturity to accept the mysteries of God. Just accept them as mysteries, and that God's ways are higher than your ways. His sovereignty over your life is better than the way you can figure everything out. Because at the end of the day, trying to figure everything out and know the mysteries of God is what leads people to ask questions about their faith that can't be answered. And then that leaves them headed down a road of doubting, which the Bible in Jude 23 or 24 says, be merciful to the doubter. Well, they're now starting to celebrate their doubting.
Yeah.
So back to you on the deconstruction front. What do you got going on there, and how can that blend in with the research that I was so enamored with?
I wanted to back up and talk more about your research. Is that okay?
Yeah. It's not my research. I did a 3-year study with 500 college students. No.
Yeah, you did a 30-year study with the television that your wife watches.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think
exactly.
I think that there's definitely something to it. I don't disagree with it at all. But I do think that there are dynamics there that you kind of have to separate. For instance, what do you mean by negative? You can watch a documentary about the Holocaust, but you can also watch a horror movie. You know what I mean? And I can't do horror movies. I don't like that.
Have you ever seen the thing comedy drama? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to tell drama type stories, but they want to have a lighthearted feel, a vibe to it.
Right.
That would be the only one that I think would fall in the category of, what do you choose? I think are you looking to be entertained and laughing, or are you looking to be entertained and seeing other people as miserable as you or worse than you? Which doesn't take you long you can look around anywhere and find people worse than you, right?
Yeah, I still think that there's a deeper dynamic there, because when you're talking about am I looking for a true story? Do I want something, riveting and compelling that I'm going to go, wow, I can't believe that person lived through that or did that or accomplished that. And of course, everything great that gets accomplished, you go through some hardships there. Or is it just negativity for negativity's sake? Because, Chris, we'll turn on a sitcom, and pretty soon we're just watching people yell at each other. And it's this is supposed to be a half-hour comedy sitcom. And it's turn it off. If I want to hear people arguing and fighting, I'll call the kids back in the room. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's
I don't think people appreciate how hard it is to be in a writer's room to come up with episode 137.
Yeah.
Right. That's why.
That's true.
The Big Bang Theory lasted 12 years, and I think it's going down as the number one comedy in history, sitcom, and they should have quit at 9.
Yeah.
10, 11, and 12 were kind of, you could see the forcedness, and, Seinfeld, they left. Look, Roseanne Barr had a great thing going, and you know what she did? She tried to get serious. She didn't realize people were tuning in to escape.
People were wanting that escapism and be able to laugh at themselves.
Anyway, let me finish then. I'll finish.
Right.
I abbreviated it because I thought you wanted to move on with your show about deconstruction.
No, let's talk about that. I love this.
Okay.
Is a great topic.
Well, tell that to your face.
It's a great,
okay,
because
I'm reading the vibe here. I'm reading it wrong because I'm like, you're. All right.
I'm thinking when I think I get a serious look on my face.
Listen to this. The researchers used a computational model to investigate when people make more cautious or careless choices, and found that people are much more cautious. Are you ready?
Yes.
When two very similar choices are offered.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Netflix, for example, places really similar choices side by side, such as series of spy movies or, costume dramas or comedies. And it can lead to indecision by a viewer, the researchers observed. But when the viewers channel surf or look at apps or other apps that offer movies or entertaining programs, the viewer can make choices among different types of media.
Right.
That can make a viewer less cautious about their choice.
Well, yeah.
Now, under that circumstances, people are more likely to choose the negative media option.
Okay.
Why? The study doesn't answer that question. I'm asking that question,
Oh.
and I believe there is a spiritual answer as to why.
What do you think the spiritual answer
Well,
is?
the spiritual answer is how are you? What is your walk with the Lord like today?
Yeah.
Even if you are the most sanctified, growing Christian in the world, you're still going to have moments of dullness, and you're going to have days where you wake up keeping with repentance that you weren't planning on the day before. Mm-hmm. Look, as a I used to always call myself a Bible scholar wannabe, but I think it's time to give up the wannabe thing. I'm in the Bible all the time, and I have a problem. And the problem is I go to read a story. Let's just say Luke 15, the prodigal son story. Mm-hmm. I've read that no fewer than 100 times, maybe 200, maybe 1,000. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. So when I go to start reading it, I know the story already, and so I don't read it.
Right.
I just skim it.
Yeah.
And when I stop and maybe make an intentional move to just, I'm going to read this paragraph again, like the first time, just in my mind, just clear my mind, and then read it. Unbelievable how God will speak to you again through His Word.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think is, there's an option here to see in this study, the choice of just making that negative TV option, how it's hard to make choices when you have so many things around you. You add that to the other psychological studies, like why is it that somebody will be, will fall down at a bus stop with 10 people around, and they'll scream out, "Help me," and nobody moves.
Right.
But if they look at one person, any of them, and they say, "Will you help me?" that person 97% of the time will step forward and start to try to help.
Right. Exactly.
It's just the weird human condition, which
There
I
you
think is
go.
part of our fallen nature, which I find fascinating.
It's riveting. There's a
Thank
whole
you.
book on it if you want to know the truth about that.
Glad your face caught up with the conversation. This is good.
No, talking about how having so many choices and putting things together, and it actually makes people consider things more cautiously. It reminded me of a story that a pastor once told us. He and his wife were on the mission field in Africa, I believe it was, for years. And every morning they woke up and it was like oats and wheat for breakfast, oats and wheat, like every single morning. They had the same thing. And then life went on. Everything's fine. They came back to the United States. They're setting up their house and everything. And she had a coupon for some, cereal. Let's just say Wheat Chex. I don't know if it was Wheat Chex.
I'm going with Wheat Chex.
But she said, run into the store, grab a box of wheat Chex, and come back out. Here's the coupon. So he goes in there, and he's in there for like 15 minutes. And she's like, man, there must be like a problem in the checkout or something like that. He comes walking out finally with nothing in his hand but that stupid little coupon. And she's like, what are you doing? And he said, I walked in there, and there's so many boxes of cereal. I couldn't find it right away. And then I'm looking and I'm wondering. And pretty soon he's like, I just couldn't, my brain just stopped.
Yeah.
And I had to leave because he was not used to all those choices,
Now, did you mention that they were missionaries in Kenya for 25 straight years before?
Did.
Okay, I didn't hear that
I
part.
did. Well, you never listened to me.
That's the key
Pay
part of the
attention here.
story.
Pay attention here.
The key part of the story is environment.
And now we know why Chris
Product
got
of your
bad
environment.
grades. Okay, so that is right in line with Netflix and how they've lined it up. Chris, you and I have, and there's a common problem. You and I have sat down to, let's find something to watch, and we'll sit there and surf and watch and search for 30 minutes, and there's just nothing, and pretty soon we just go do something else. So we spent 40 minutes watching our television, but we didn't watch anything,
Well,
And
a
that's
lot of that,
common problem.
A lot of our problem is stand-up comedy because we love stand-up comedy. We used to do stand-up comedy. We are huge fans. We love the craft. We love everything about it. And we have a rule. We try a new comic, and as soon as he goes in there's three things. He goes in one of those directions, really, we're out.
Yeah.
We're just out.
There's very few to choose from anymore.
If
And
you-
even the ones that start out good after several years will just start going in the tank. So,
Well, and I'll give you a legitimate example for those of you who know stand-up comedy. And that is Bill Burr. Bill Burr is one of the best storytellers you will ever hear, but you can't recommend him and you can't have him on because he just cannot stop using the F word in every other sentence.
Yeah.
And sorry, bro, as good as you are, I don't need that in my life.
And it's just an example of how God has really gifted everyone. He's gifted everyone with something great. And so even though someone may not be a Christian or whatever, they still have a gifting. They still have things that they can contribute. But whether people are going to accept what they can contribute will determine, like if you have a godly person, they're just not going to accept that stuff.
Well,
So,
here's the thing. The thing about Bill Burr that drives me nuts is he's one of the few that uses a lot of profanity, but doesn't need to.
Right.
Like Jim Gaffigan, Brian
No
Regan.
one needs
These guys
to.
are not Christian comics per se, but they're clean. You can watch them with your mom in the room and not cringe, or your kids in the room and not cringe.
Right.
A lot of the storytellers that use a lot of profanity, quite honestly, without it, they couldn't make it. They need that as their crutch.
Yeah.
And so, anyway.
Yeah, getting back to what you said, because I think you kind of
I'm off into the ditch on stand-up comedy now.
I know, right? You have a story for everything. But you hit the nail on the head, I think, Chris, when you talked about the human condition. And I think that is human nature. Let's read through the Bible. How many times does God say, fear not, fear not, fear not?
What are you laughing at?
Kazoon tight. Okay.
You can hear that?
Yeah. How many times does God say
down.
fear not? He says it a lot. How many times does God say, woe it back on the confidence? You know what I mean? Not very often. He might say something like, don't think too highly of yourself or something
He
like that.
actually does say that.
But there's not a lot of that. Also, what's another thing? I don't know. It's human nature to complain and to grumble. And how many times has God said, don't do that or punished someone for doing that? And yet, when does he say, hey, the joy, enough already?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think
this show is Christian living joy and, the joy of being a Christian, having fun. I mean, we have it better than everybody. Why do we have a sour look on our face? And a Bible apologetics. The Bible is our final authority.
Right,
That's what this show's about.
So I think it really is human nature. We just tend to gravitate, when left to our own defenses, we tend to gravitate towards the negative, towards the bad, towards the, we're sheep. We are sheep. We wander off, and that's just our natural tendency. I think that's part of what's going on there. That is human natural tendency to go negative.
Okay.
I think it is.
All right, what's next?
So let's talk about some negative things, shall we?
I say we go full on.
Full on negative.
Yeah.
Now,
let me put my angry eyes on for the camera.
How absolutely negative can you get other than talking about the one that truly opposes the God of the universe, and that is Satan himself. Now, Chris, you and I, we've been battling against, of late, deconstructionism or deconstruction, and it's really not any different than what we've seen in the past as far as postmodernism, the emergent church, so on. But
Satan repackages the same game.
Repackages it. So it's been that's been just kind of a recent battle that we've had to kind of expose that. And it doesn't come easily. I mean, there's a lot of people that have maybe never heard of it. And so when we come out and, hey, this ideology is from Satan himself, a lot of people are reluctant to just, oh, really? It's like, oh, no, that couldn't be, they don't necessarily want to believe that, but they'll believe, well, people just don't understand. Well, we have proof today. Chris, you came across this, I don't even remember, last week, the week before?
Somebody in our church texted me it.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell about it? Because you got it. I mean, you got the information, right?
Well, it's your show.
Okay, here's the deal. Is deconstructionism from the pit of hell? Yes, it is. And
you, at the top of the show, said you had proof.
One of the evidences of that is what is called Satancon. It is the atheist Satan worshipers' alternative to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And it's really sad that that's going on in the United States, but it is. And they're actually, I don't even know what you call them, the Satanists. That's what they are. They worship Satan, and they have this gathering. And in 2023... one of the things that they want to do is they want to have this deconstructing your religious upbringing, what do you call it, breakout session, or it's part of it. That's the title of the teaching moment at Satan worship, deconstructing.
Right there, it's deconstruction your religious upbringing. Look at the name of the instructor.
Judas Marduk
is a god that opposes Yahweh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I learned something
so
today.
To name yourself Judas Marduk is like,
to say I'm totally opposed to God.
That is a thumb in the eye of God. And I've been saying that this is a satanic deal. Deconstructionism is from the pit of hell. It's a satanic deal. It's a doctrine of Satan, if you will. Right. And somebody said, well, somebody's practicing deconstruction, I'm calling them a Satanist. That's not it.
No.
It's that it's such a doctrine of Satan, even the Satanists are having it as part of their thing. There it is.
They're embracing this methodology that is trying to get into and infiltrate the church. Deconstructionism, if you haven't heard of it before, is basically a method of approaching the scriptures where we say Scripture's not going to interpret Scripture. God's not going to reveal what he means by his word. We're going to tell you what it means. My personal experience, my culture, me, myself, and I'm going to read God's word, and I'm going to determine for myself what it actually means. We all know how dangerous that is. We've talked about it many times.
Yep.
And so this is a methodology that is trying to get into the church. Chris and I have been, trying to inform people about it and have let people know it's not going to be a part of the churches that that you, Chris, are either pastoring or we are attending. People their eyes have been opened. I've been really excited and really happy to see that people are understanding. They're making the connection. Oh, yes, this is contrary.
Safe people who get explained the basics of it, they get it right away.
Yeah, biblical instruction. It is absolutely contrary. The fact that Satancon and these Satan worshipers, I hate even saying that word, but that's what they are. That's what they call themselves. But I recoil even when I have to say the word. They are loving this. They're embracing it. And they are even calling for the need to deconstruct what you were taught as a child with regard to your faith.
And what they want to do is they want to take some of the mysteries of God and they want to plant doubt. And if you go back to the Garden of Gethsemane, it is the same thing. Did God say? Hath God said? Did God really mean it like that? Is that what it's supposed to be? See, there's honesty, there's authentic, and there's truth. And next week, I want to bring a picture and an explanation, but my congregation gets to see it first this Sunday.
Okay.
And it will help you open your eyes, especially to the deconstruction side and how dangerous it is. Now, when we deal with deconstructionists, we have always tried to be nice. We've always tried to be friendly. We've always tried to show love and respect and
point out the error
and common sense. But if you are caught up in that, or you know somebody who's caught up in it, now is the time. The time for niceties is over. It's time to just be plain with people.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat things. Yes, try to approach some people hat in hand as best you can, but trust me, if they are deep in the deconstruction movement and that is their God, they will hate you for pointing out the problems with it. So,
well, I did a little more research into it, and it was really interesting.
Yes, I got a fly that's buzzing, and if we were on regular radio, then I wouldn't have to.
There's a fly
Mike
that's
Shaw on these cameras.
dive bombing Chris at every glance. That's funny because you do kind of attract bugs.
I know, but then I forget my train of thought.
Because
he's
not bothering me. So I don't know what smelly smells that,
I tell you what,
that fly smells, but he likes you.
I want to go deeper into honesty, authentic, and truth about how deconstructionists basically manipulate people into giving up on Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a faith. You have to take it by faith, and you're going to choose to believe being an atheist is a faith.
Absolutely. It's a religion.
It's a religion.
It's
Evolution is a religion.
Right. It's a belief system.
There's as much science in evolution as pork in the pork and beans. We all have the same evidence. Unfortunately for the evolutionists, all the evidence in the fossil records points hand in glove to a creator God who intelligently designed all of this. And the Bible still is true, word for word and cover to cover. Emily, I think we need to take a break and bring Mike Shaw in.
All right. I do want to make one more point.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to do it after the break or before.
Well, I was going to, it's your show. Here, look, there's Emily. Go. Tell people what you want to tell them.
Wait a minute. I got something else to say because I think that this whole rise of the Satan worshiping and atheism in the United States, it's bad, it's awful, but on the same token, we are able to really see distinctly and more clearly certain thoughts, ideologies, and things that are put forward where they really, truly come from.
What do you
mean? Well, the Church of Satan, it's growing, actually. It's still not really that large, but it is growing. And they have an agenda. And one of the points in their agenda is to become very politically active and to get engaged, which is really interesting when the Christians and the church has been told for years, separation of church and state, separation of church and state. You can't do that. You can't say that. And all these things. lie, big fat lie from the pit of hell when you turn around and the church of Satan says, no, we're going to get politically active and politically involved, and they want to engage in that arena. So Satan is telling Christians you can't be in that arena, and Satan is saying we're going to take over that arena. So it's a lie. If you are a Christian, you belong in the political realm. If you are a Christian, you can talk, you can say. If you're a pastor, if you're a church, you can support the pro-life movement. You can talk about those political issues in the truth that's really there. So I just thought that was an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
How the Church of God, the Church of Jesus Christ, is being told you can't participate politically, and yet the Church of Satan that's one of their pillars. We're going to get involved politically. And the founding of our nation was absolutely the reverse, where Christians we have to be involved politically.
Yeah.
So
and that's a great point. I mean, we have to talk about the truth from the pulpit, but we have people that have been brainwashed into thinking you can't talk about anything. And there's a certain legitimacy to that. I mean, you don't want to go to church and have somebody just rail about this political thing or that political thing all the time.
Right.
But you've got to talk about issues, and they're wanting you to politicize every issue. So that means now you're just down. Some people are like, we don't want to talk about anything. We just want to point people to Jesus. It's like, that's kind of good on one hand until you think it through deeper. Then it's, no, right. You're pretty incredibly weak, because Jesus talked about the issues, and the issues is what got him killed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to leave on that, because that's just a flippant turn of phrase. I heard Chris Danielson say that the issues got Jesus killed. It's like, no, kind of, but there's so much more to the story.
Yeah, anyway.
But
you do make a really good point, and that was, I kind of lost it now, because we went through so much stuff.
That happens to me all the time lately. I don't know. I think it's our diet. Might be something in the Iowa water.
Maybe something we're watching on TV.
I don't know.
know.
Let's take a break and bring Mike Shaw back with Right On Way Off, should we?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you find your point in the next 5 seconds, we'll stop. It's
gone.
It's gone?
It's gone. No. I got it. I remembered.
Okay.
And it was actually a point that you made about the whole political arena over the last several decades. That's exactly what Satan has been doing. Any Christian issue, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to life, when it comes to all those things, what is happening? Politicians are getting involved, and they're starting to dictate things and mandate things. Well, now it's a political issue. So if you have someone, brainwashed is a really good word that you used, to believe that there's supposed to be some mystical separation of church and state, all the political arena has to do is pick up every single issue as a political issue, and guess what Christians get to talk about then? Nothing.
Yeah.
So don't buy the lie. There is no separation of church and state. Christians need to be involved in the political arena. We're reaping the fruit of them not being in the political arena right now. And so,
just so people don't think that you're crazy, and I don't want you to lose credibility with anybody.
Yeah.
When you say that there's not separation of church and state, you're talking about how it's been hijacked.
Right.
The separation of church and state, as written by the founding fathers, it's pretty obvious.
That was just a phrase in a letter. That wasn't like in a document.
Okay.
It wasn't in a formal document.
The whole point of what they were talking about with the separation clauses all over and the dialogue all over was that the government can't come and mandate what religion there's going to be.
It restricts
It wasn't
government.
about Christians talking about keeping the government in check.
Yeah.
So you add the Second Amendment, and common sense would tell you that the right to bear arms and the right to free speech and the right to free religion and all of those things in the First and Second Amendment is because we don't want the government getting out of control.
Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, that's where the problem was. And we were in high school in the late 70s, early 80s when a lot of the separation stuff was being debated, and it was like, I can't believe people can't see the forest from the trees.
It, but it was Satan's plan.
And here's the thing: everybody will cheer on the Satanic Church for getting involved in politics. Everybody cheers on the Muslims and the Islamic Church for getting involved in politics.
Right.
I mean, they even have their Muslim political arms, and so do we. We have Christian PACs and stuff like that. But anyway, we've got to stay strong for such a time as this. We got to speak the truth. We got to have appropriateness when it comes to try to have the right tone with folks. I get all that. but on the same token, now is the time. So
All right.
we're going to take a quick break. We're back with Mike Shaw around the corner on No Apology with Emily and Chris, a product of freshroadmedia.com, listener supported. Go to the website, give your best gift right now. We really, really could use it. Appreciate it. See you around the corner. Has anybody ever called you an idiot for believing in the Bible? Somebody says, you're just an idiot for believing in the Bible. How would you respond?
People think that Christians are idiots for what they believe.
This God you claim is great isn't so great.
Only an idiot would believe that.
When you wonder about the relevance of the Bible, because it was written in different culture.
Yeah, even though the Bible was written through like a spiritual notation, I guess, it still was written by a man.
It's the second day and I'm asked to pray and I'm walking up towards the podium and I lean in and I say, "Dear George."
I'm here to tell you that my life has been changed by the Word of God.
So what's your opinion on the Bible?
It's 100% true.
Sounds like size involved in this process, you know. Idiots for a Bible. That's what I think of when I think of him.
I'm not going to call atheists idiots because that's just not nice to do. But
Approximately 1,500 times the Bible claims to be the Word of God. Now, what are we going to do with that?
That's kind of deep.
It's true. I believe in the Bible. I don't care who knows it. I'm an idiot for Christ.
Welcome back to No Apology with Emily and Chris. The home is freshroadmedia.com. We are listener supported, which means we can only bring this broadcast and do this outreach around the world that we're planning on doing with your support. Would you prayerfully think about going to freshroadmedia.com and giving your best gift right now? And while you're there, there's a spot when you go to the No Apology link that says Be on the Show.
Oh, yeah.
Click on that and leave a voice message for us. Just tell us your name and state. Leave a voice message about anything we're talking about, deconstruction, any of this stuff, negative TV watching, whatever we got going on. We got more guests coming in the future. We've got a lot of things planned. And, you know, it's just like, I got a plan to say drive to Chicago. I need to know I have enough gas to drive to Chicago. That's what we're trying to do right now. So we need you to stand with us.
Yes.
All right, Emily, what are we doing on your show going forward?
It's that time of year, actually the time of the show, right on way off. It's my favorite time. We can't do it, though, without our friend Mike Shaw.
Mike Shaw, there he is.
From Jesus is Coming Soon with Mike Shaw.
It's the most wonderful time of the show.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
You can hit a note, too. We should have you, like, do a little jingle for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I'll start a jingle singers website.
Hey, there you go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mike Shaw, Jesus is Coming Soon. It's on freshroadmedia.com, another show that we've launched probably too soon with no funding. So go to freshroadmedia.com.
I like working for free. That's good.
Yeah, no, it you know,
Builds character.
that's one way to look at it. So Right On Way Off has become a staple of the show, and normally Mike Shaw will bring us some news headlines, and then we'll talk about world events, and that's still not off the table. But again, It's summertime. It's year one. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
We're going to have Mike Shaw as our studio producer come on and just do Right On Way Off for this particular episode. Correct, Emily?
Absolutely.
Yeah. When we were on vacation last week, Emily was talking about how she's going to gear up and do all this stuff with the show. It's like, I'm excited. I can't wait. And so we want you listening to grow with us and to be there with us. And
we have a plan. Help us execute the plan.
We have a plan. So, all right, Emily, Right On Way Off. It's up to you.
And
Let's
by
go.
the way,
Bum, ba, ba.
big thank you to everyone who has come alongside us so far. Big thank you to you guys. We really appreciate it. Okay, so question number one, right on or way off? We are going to have a Mike Shaw singing segment of the show from now on.
Great.
Right on. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say.
I might be a little way off on that one.
I might be too.
Yeah. I don't know if singing is part of our brand.
It's not my main gift. Let's just say that.
All right. I don't know if you saw in the news, but lab-grown meat is now official. It's here. Lab-grown meat is now on the menu in different restaurants. Is this right on or way off, Chris?
Way off.
Aw, way off. Why?
Well, it is just an awful thing.
You just know it's off, right?
Yeah, I know that it's off.
All right, Mike.
That's how it makes me feel.
It is like sadness, isn't it?
I saw a meme the other day that had like fake hamburger, a list of all the ingredients. Most of them I couldn't pronounce. And then on the other one, real hamburger, and it just said beef.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so contrary to what people are wanting, the natural, the good right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm way off. I just want real organic stuff. I want our stuff back. I want our real food back.
I know. Mike Shaw, I bet you've been looking up on this a little bit in the news headlines. What's your thoughts? Right on, way off.
I couldn't be more way off. This is the number one way off so far, tying with the other ones that were super way off. This is a horrible idea. In fact, Chris, if you could play the brand new sound effect on this one, I think this would apply.
Yeah,
okay.
And also,
absolutely.
it also applies to what we talked about, or what you guys talked about earlier too.
Okay.
So here's how I
Who
really.
was it? Who could it possibly be? Was it? Oh, I don't know. Satan?
Yeah, lab-grown meat from the pit of hell itself. Honestly,
both COVID and meat coming from labs now. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. It's by design, to take a conspiratorial view of it because all my conspiracy theories keep coming true.
I know. What's up with that?
And so they don't want us to eat cows because it's too good for you.
Yeah.
And then they're claiming global warming, which is false.
Yep.
And so they want us to eat bugs. They want us to eat this manufactured meat. It's a Bill Gates thing.
Well,
he's been on TV.
He's an easy target, but it's a lot more than that. But go ahead.
It's more than that. You're right. But he's been on TV saying everyone should end up eating this.
He's the face.
And
of
you'll
it.
get used to the taste.
And
after
is he
a while.
eating it? I don't think so.
I don't think Bill's gonna stick to his ribeyes.
I think he's got Wagyu ribeyes every night.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I read somewhere that he's got a stockpile of heirloom seeds for food. And even seeds are controlled now by government as well. So
it's just part of the grander plan to enslave us all.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not kidding.
Well, I did post this on Facebook.
And we just played a Dana Carvey. Is it Satan?
Right.
And that is the whole devil made me do it kind of thing. Remember, if old people can go back and remember Flip Wilson.
Oh yeah.
And those types of things.
Great.
Anyway, there's a whole theological discussion in there as to why we probably shouldn't do that. But go ahead, Emily.
I don't know what you just said, but
it's fun. It's comedy.
I don't know how comfortable I am doing Dana Carvey's church lady on a show that my name is on.
But you were comfortable with Flip Wilson in a dress back in the 70s.
This is not my show, but I would just like to say, lighten up, Francis.
It's all good. It's all good.
It is all good.
Yeah,
what is the next one, Em?
Okay, so no, I'm not done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm always in a different headspace.
You're in a hurry, dude. You're just wanting to get through the show, man. Okay, so the lab-grown meat.
Is it that obvious?
I do want to share a comment that was posted on my Facebook page because it was really, really good. Yeah. And I don't have the name of the person right in front of me. I'm not going to share it anyway. But she said,
let's go with
this lab.
Shirley.
All right, Shirley.
I don't know why. Let's go with Gladys.
Shirley said, and it just...
And Gladys agreed.
Okay, can I finish my point?
She liked the post.
Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
She said, that sounds like cancer to me. And I'm like, holy buckets. You've got live cells that are massively reproducing way too quickly than what they normally would, and we're going to consume that. I think she hit the nail on the head, and I think she saw something like that. That stuck with me. That was a really good comment. So yeah, way off for me as well, and I think for most people. All right, question number 2. Americans don't feel bad that the women's soccer team lost to Sweden. Are we right on, or are we way off? Mike Shaw.
Right on. It couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Megan Rapone, and I feel
bad. Is it
bad.
Rapone or Rapinoe?
Yes, I don't know.
I think it's Rapinoe.
Okay.
I think it is.
Anyway.
Megan, she would have won the match if she had made that goal.
It was all on her,
And she decided to go top shelf on the shot. It's the hardest shot to do on a penalty shot. You know, keep it on goal. That's the whole thing. And
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're going to beat the goalie. If the goalie's up to the challenge and guesses right, well, it is what it is. But if you miss, oh my goodness. And she has been so anti-America.
Yeah.
And she's convinced most of the team, not all, but most of the team takes a knee during the national anthem on the world stage.
Yep.
And you can understand why many Americans, unfortunately not all, but many Americans were rooting for Sweden.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. And it was just really interesting. I saw a picture of both teams, and it was like, of course, they're Swedish girls. They're very, tall, blonde, very beautiful women. We all know that's a thing.
Athletic feminine.
Yeah, athletic feminine. And it was there was a stark contrast, we'll just say that, between the look of the two teams. And not that all the women are in that category or anything. I kind of feel bad if there are women on the team
we have some good ones.
Don't agree with this stuff.
We have some good ones on our team, but it's not the majority, unfortunately.
They worked hard to get there, and it's really sad now because they are a part of a team that the entire nation is kind of pretty much booing. So, Chris, what do you think?
How's the question worded again?
Americans do not feel bad that the women's soccer team lost to Sweden. Are we right on or way off?
I'm right on.
Yeah.
I'm right on. I have my 15-year-old me is heartbroken. Even 45-year-old me is heartbroken. Now I'm numb to it.
How many knees you got in that brain?
What I'm saying is I never thought in my lifetime, as I think back to how much USA pride I've had, and wanting our athletes to do well, and just some of the stuff we've been around, Olympic trials, this, and we've been here doing that and that. I've never been more disgusted with the United States team in my life.
I know, right?
And it's the part of it's not even Megan and her platform, although that's disgusting to begin with. Somebody who's that anti-American, who hates our country that much, is then put on this major stage to represent the United States. Oh, and gets everybody, let's not sing our national anthem.
Right.
Then why are you even here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just disgusted. I'm just disgusted with the whole scene. And then the propaganda, because Fox Sports and FS1, because I watch a lot of racing, particularly NASCAR truck racing, because I know most of the drivers, or not most of them, but a good chunk of them. Anyway, they're just propping this up.
Yeah.
They're just propping these women up. These are our heroes. This is Women's World Cup, and they're going to go and win the third or fourth time in a row, and no one can beat them. They're legends.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. They're losers.
Yeah, legends, that's not
And now finally, in every sense of the word, I'm so happy. And not only did they lose, but Megan missed the shot.
Right.
Yep.
Welcome to karma, sweet cheeks.
Well, I don't think that's karma.
Oh, I'm not happy with her at all.
There's a better word for that. But
I am not.
how about you reap what you sow?
God puts love in our hearts
for
for people. And my mom always used the flat tire analogy. Okay, because for whatever reason, the most righteous thing in our neighborhood was if somebody had a flat tire and you stopped to help them.
That's because it happened every day.
That immediately puts you in heaven, okay, according to my mom back in the neighborhood.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you stop and help somebody with a tire, I mean, that's big doing. So whenever there was an athlete or something that would happen in sports, and I would get so mad when I was a kid, she'd be like, well, would you still help him change a tire? And the whole point of her discussion was that, and especially after she came to know Jesus, it even amplified. The whole point of her discussion was, you love people and you will help them regardless of how much you hate them. That's called loving your enemies.
That's true.
So if Megan Rapinoe has a flat tire across the street from my home or on the road and flags me down, I will help her and I'll wish her well.
Yes.
I'll share the gospel with her and anything I can. And I pray that she finds salvation. But there's been very few people in America that disgust me in my core more than her because of everything that she's been given. And the people that are giving it to her, she's spitting in their face and putting her thumb in their eye. And then we have broadcast people trying to elevate her as if she's some sort of special person. She's not. She's the scourge of our day, in my opinion.
And to just dogpile.
And that might be strong. But that's how I feel.
And to dogpile a little more, something else I forgot to mention. On Twitter, there's a short video of a kid about 10 years old.
Yeah.
Has a small soccer ball, walks up to Megan and wants an autograph. It's at some event.
Yeah.
She doesn't even look at him. She does sign it, and she just hands it to him without thanking him or even looking at him.
Engaging with him at all.
And and there are other clips where she's just really not a kind person, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Back when she was playing in a minor, women professional soccer is not that big. People don't buy tickets. They don't make a lot of money.
Right.
Apparently that's men's sports fault.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
She's the one, before she got famous from the World Cup, who was playing on one of these little teams when Kaepernick was taking a knee. She started taking a knee. Yeah. So the little organizers and these little minor league women's soccer thing, they played the national anthem before the team came out on the field. And so when Megan got out there, she threw a public fit that they played the anthem and she didn't get a chance to disrespect America.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, and her sexual preference has nothing to do with my disgust, just so we're clear on that. I just can't stand people who... And normally it's nepotism. Normally it's the grandson. Grandpa started the company. The father grew up in Grandpa's shadow, and he was running it. Now the son comes along and just destroys it because he doesn't understand what he has. He's been given all this stuff, and it means nothing to him. That's the way Megan. That's how. Anyway, much too much soapbox.
Okay, the thing that bothered me the most was Chris, you touched on it. Man, you're just full of lots of insight today. There was almost...
Am I changing your mind on stuff?
The media outlets were almost eking up on shaming people if they weren't watching and they weren't into this women's soccer, that if you're not supporting this and you're not into it and you're not, being a part of the audience, then you're the one with the problem. And it's like whenever that type of manipulation starts rising... red flag, I'm out. What I mean? I just don't like that. So yeah, I think I'm happy that Americans are kind of finally waking up, and character matters. It really does. Character matters. Remember
I'd
Martin
like
Luther
it to
King
matter
Jr.?
again, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream that will be judged by the content of our character, and skin color and all that other external stuff does not matter. So it's good to see when that actually comes to fruition that, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream is still alive.
And I would like people to make judgments based on character again.
Yeah.
We're not allowed. We're not allowed. And because if you are everybody but white males has an excuse as to that has to be,
That's because the Satanists are taking over politics and the culture.
Things just aren't even rational anymore.
The victimization of everything. All right, what's the next question?
We need to go back to things prim and proper. And my last question is kind of in line with some of the things we were talking about earlier as far as negative entertainment. Right on or way off, British murder mysteries are the best murder mysteries. Chris, right on.
Oh, I get to go first?
You get to go first.
I am so far off. I am so far way off that you can't even see me. No, I'm way off because I know it's your thing, and I give you a hard time on it. But they are well done. They are good, but it's probably nothing on my own.
Yeah.
In my own viewing time,
Yeah.
I have never and probably will never choose a Brit murder mystery to watch to fill my day. The only reason I watch them is because I'm sitting where you are and I just want to be where you are. And so I put up with it. I'm way off.
I think you just have yet to admit that Hercule Poirot impacts you just like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You love them both,
I love
don't
them
you?
both. Yeah, I do.
I knew it. I knew it.
And for the record, I'm not that big of a Tom Cruise fan, but it's become a running joke, and I just go with it. And you didn't even bring up Keanu. I mean,
know. Yeah.
if you want to see a
You got-
fanboy,
you got
me
your
in the
favorites.
Matrix with Keanu.
Keanu's great, but
Neo!
John Wick 4.
Neo's the one.
No.
And John Wick is just too. It's just basically one fight scene after another with a storyline
That was
thick
4.
enough.
That was 4. The first 2 were pretty good.
Were they? I have not John Wicked at all. But
Yeah.
again, my I don't know. I read a lot. I'll put it that way.
John Wicked. Is that a verb now? I have not John Wicked yet.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll put it to you like this: when I go on Facebook and post a picture of me with like hot tamales in a popcorn thing, saying this Saturday, or it's Saturday, time for documentary marathon, I get like 2 likes. So nobody cares. I love documentaries and I love to read.
All right,
and
so
that's about it.
Mike Shaw, what do you think? I don't even know if you watch British murder mysteries or if you're a fan in any way, shape, or form. But what do you think?
So that's my caveat in front, and then I've got another one in the back. So,
Okay, he's got 2 caveats.
I don't watch British murder
right on our way
mysteries,
off.
So I am right on, and here's why.
Oh,
okay.
It's 2 words: Sherlock Holmes.
Nice.
Now that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about.
Yes, we are.
Are we?
Kinda. I mean, it's British, and
they're murder mysteries.
So
and
not-
it's
okay.
the number 1 murder.
What do you think?
I was thinking of Perot, Agatha Christie. I was thinking about the Midsummer Murder or whatever the other one.
Yeah.
Mike, I have a name for him. And when she has him on, I call him the Dirge. Okay, I'm just like, how long are you going to have the Dirge on the screen there? Because sometimes she doesn't even watch him. Sometimes she just has him on while she's playing on her phone or
if I know
whatever,
the story already,
or folding clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's called the Dirge. I have to recant what I just said because I actually turned on the old Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes, and watched the first 20 minutes. I did that by myself in my basement hole that I'm relegated to.
Yeah,
it's
and so I mean that's
in Emily's house. That's where pastors go to watch.
So
TV.
that is pretty much my point. But the reason, my contrast was even more starker.
Okay.
You're going to take Sherlock Holmes. You're going to take Matlock and Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, see? There's no comparison, right?
Ironsides, Perry Mason, Mic Drop.
That's good. And, I'm sitting there house sitting for you guys, watching the dogs.
Yeah.
I don't have cable myself. So I'm looking for something to watch on TV. It's amazing how there's nothing.
I know, right?
But thankfully, I'd never watched Bones before.
Oh.
So I watched a lot of episodes of Bones, which is very well written. They throw in liberal stuff now and then, but that's a pretty good murder mystery.
Okay.
Mike,
but still
you realize
not
it doesn't
Sherlock
matter how
Holmes.
many episodes you watched of Bones, you realize you watched basically the same episode.
Yeah.
I mean, every one.
Yeah.
There's a medical condition that comes up and he's breaking the rules to save a life. Every episode.
Well, that's what the murder
it's like,
mysteries
get Gilligan
are, too.
off the island already. For crying out loud.
The way it's written, it just takes
really
you down
good.
this ride.
Emily used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
So I've never watched that one. There have been
You've
a
watched
few.
Bones, didn't you?
No.
What was the
Didn't watch
What was the Bones one you watched?
I didn't. I don't know who
You watched
stars in it.
the medical thing. When we were in LA, we were looking down in his backyard.
Oh, is that the house guy?
House,
He was in House.
Those were not murder mysteries, though.
See, but that's the same guy?
Same guy.
Well, he's British.
He's
I
British,
know,
but he
that's what I
played
was
in
just gonna
House.
say.
Yes.
See, you can't escape it. Even the American murder mystery, whatever, they need a Brit to come in somewhere.
Well, and then
let's not tell me when you're British.
And the American version of Sherlock Holmes was a huge hit.
It was.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.,
right.
yeah.
So
well, and we like the Benedict Cumberbatch version too of Sherlock Holmes. Those episodes were fantastic. Anyway,
so right on.
Yeah,
right on.
He's right on.
Right.
What were we just talking about? There was a great point that was just made.
About
how Sherlock Holmes even Americanized is
No,
still
it was before that. I forget it. I lost it, just like what Emily did.
the house guy.
Yeah, the house guy. That's what I was going to say. The house guy and the Bones guy are the same guy.
Yeah.
So Emily used to watch House all the time. That's why I thought she used to watch Bones all the time. But it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's a doctor breaking the rules to
Yeah.
save a life.
I
That's
think
the story.
I think you're just seeing that guy on the British mystery murder mysteries that I'm watching. And you think I'm watching Bones or House.
I don't think the house guy's the Bones guy. It's not the same.
right.
Are they not the same?
All
I
right.
don't know.
Well, Mike, what's coming up on Jesus is Coming Soon this week?
Yeah, we're going to take a deeper dive on this world coin.
Okay.
So you sent me a great article. It was at Epic Times, but it was very well written, very long, very comprehensive, and I have some reactions to it. Is it the mark of the beast? Is it going to help lead to the mark of the beast? What does artificial intelligence have to do with all of what they're doing? And people voluntarily giving up their biometrics is huge. In some way, it's not as bad as you might think it is, and in some ways, it's worse. So
right.
We'll be talking more about that on our next episode. If you go to freshroadmedia.com right now, the current episode that's up, you'll see my interview with Claudia, who I met at the call center.
Yeah.
And she found out I was a Christian. We just started praising the Lord, and she was healed she's just on fire for Jesus. So it's a uplifting interview.
Yeah, very good.
Check
very
it
good.
out.
FreshRoadMedia.com. Jesus is Coming Soon with Mike Shaw is a new show. That's where a lot of the news headlines are going to stay. I can't wait to talk about the WorldCoin stuff next week, along with the picture that I want to use to demonstrate honesty, authentic.
Now, if you
truth.
really want a good show, I'm thinking we need to bring in a British guy and talk about
my
some
British
murder.
accent is so bad. I would be doing it right now multiple times, but it's so bad.
I can't do accents. So,
All right, Mike, thanks for hanging out with us again today. Emily, let's turn to you. What are your final thoughts on this episode, whatever number we're on here in the first week in August?
Well, I just want to thank everybody who has
Second week in August.
who has been along for the ride, because we have had people that have been from the beginning following right along. And I want to encourage people to share this with your family, with your friends. There's a lady that does it. Her and her husband run a dairy farm, and there's a certain part of her day where she just tunes into Fresh Road Media and listens to the broadcast, and truck drivers. And Chris, there was somebody in Omaha, you knew that. I don't remember what they do.
Well, one of them is a truck driver.
Oh, okay.
And another one jogs a lot.
Yes,
and then,
yes.
there's other people that commute a lot. We got people that commute around the Phoenix Valley, in Arizona that listen.
Yeah.
And
so thank you.
Wherever you are listening, you can get it wherever you get podcast content, but you can also go to freshroadmedia.com. For those of you watching on Rumble or YouTube, thank you. If you can't give any financial gift, would you get a hold of the ministry and tell Emily and Mike Shaw and Larry and Claire and the other people behind the scenes that you're participating?
Yeah.
I mean, we'd need to know.
We have
like
a lot
to
of
hear
people
from
in
you.
New York as well.
I know.
Shout out to New York today, huh?
Yeah. Florida, there was a Kentucky. I mean, wherever you are, reach out to us and tell us hi. Tell us you're listening. Tell us you're hanging out. That's going to do it. Final thoughts, Emily? Anything else?
I just did my final thoughts.
All right, that's it then.
Watch a British murder mystery. It'll do your heart good.
All right. On behalf of my best friend and bride, I'm so happy with her show here on freshroadmedia.com. It's called No Apology with Emily and Chris. She's my best friend and bride. I'm Chris. You get into the Word of God today and go and serve your King.